Hi, and welcome to session 10, parental involvement. So here I think it really says it all, is how a reader is born is children are made readers on the laps of their parents. So the first experience that a lot of children have with books is being held and read to. And it's loving and it's nurturing and it's exciting and it's fun. We want that to be a wonderful experience for kids. Those early reading experiences do so much for a child, and they really help them in terms of understanding literacy, in terms of becoming a good reader. They understand how to open that book. They understand that stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They start to recognize sounds and letters, and their vocabulary is increased as they hear more and more words, and they learn how to listen to those wonderful stories that are read to them. Read alouds are terrific because what happens is when you're held in your parent's lap and the parent opens up that book and starts to them, they feel warm, they feel happy, they feel loved, and they begin to associate that with books. So when they open a book, they're not just diving into a story, but they're getting that moment of reliving what it's like to be held, to feel taken care of, to hear the comforting sound of their parents' voices. They begin to positively associate books with something feeling safe and nurturing, which means that as they get older, they will seek sanctuary in books. They'll want to read. And children who read, we know, have better comprehension. They have larger vocabularies. They're able to answer their own questions. They're able to explain themselves in full sentences. The payoffs of this are huge. So what do we need to do to keep this wonderful thing going? Well, we really want to make sure that schools collaborate with families, because families are children's first teachers. We don't want that teaching to end because they walk in the school door. We want to make sure it's going on all the time and that we're part of what goes on. The schools are a part of what goes on at home, and at home is what goes on in terms of school for the benefit of the child and for the benefit of the child learning. So it's easier said than done. There's lots of barriers to creating that family-school partnerships. Parents don't have a lot of time. They have a lot of jobs. They're answering emails. They're on their phone. The expectations are high. When we're talking about parents who are living in poverty, a lot of them will have more than one job. They'll be doing double shifts. They may have more than one child. They're seeking childcare. They're having problems going into school when they have another child that they have to take care of as well. Another problem that we have are cultural expectations, is the fact that some cultures believe that they shouldn't get involved in schools, that that's for the school to do. They don't want to step on the teacher's toes. They don't feel it's appropriate. Another barrier can be just simply not feeling welcome, feeling like when they walk in the school door, they may be reliving their own childhood school experiences. They may not feel like they have a place in your classroom. It's a place to say goodbye and walk out the door. So we really have to work on building these partnerships. So the big question is, how do we involve families? And this is a question that you're going to be asking, hopefully, throughout your teaching experience, because wherever you are, the population will change. And you will need to get to know this population to figure out what those barriers are and figure out how best to include families in schools. You're not going to be able to get every family in the door. So you're going to have to say, if I can't get a family in the door, how do I still involve them in the school? So one way is to get them to do a reading activity with their child at home, something that's fun, something that's nurturing, something that makes them feel involved in school, but still lets them have that quality time with their child. Giving them titles of books that their child might be interested in. They may not have the resources to figure out what books would go for Johnny who loves construction workers. Well, you know there's this wonderful set of books that would be perfect for him. So that's where you come in, figuring out what the child is interested in and making sure they have access to those titles. Also making sure they have access to those books. Not every family has access to books. Getting a child a library card, giving them opportunities to do library shopping in your classroom and bring those books home. Another is inviting parents into the school. So having opportunities to come in that are fun, having opportunities to come in where the parent can feel like an expert, like leading a cooking activity, leading a song, something that they feel confident in. Another way is to communicate with parents in a language they can understand. So if you're writing all of your things in English, all of your notices in English, and your parents only speak Chinese, that's going to be a problem. You need to figure out what the majority of parents are speaking, what all parents are speaking, and find ways to communicate with all of them. There's Google Translate. You can ask a friend. There's lots of resources out there. And then when you finally figure out the language, making sure that it's not so filled with jargon that you've isolated your family. So you really want to make sure that anyone can pick this up on any reading level and understand it, because you cannot assume that all parents can read high-level, college-level texts. Another is creating activities that include families. So as I said, doing something that's fun and making the family feel like they're the expert. So finding out what parents are interested in, what they do, and having them bring it into the classroom. Another one which the chapter suggests, and I have some different thoughts on this, is how to use TV and computers to further literacy. So we know that when children go home, they're using TV and computers. And one of their suggestions in the chapter is to turn on closed captioning for the TV so the children can follow along with the script on the television. And another is to give them access to websites that would really help promote literacy. While I think these are great, I do think that really trying to make sure that you're nurturing the literacy in terms of reading at home, be it a magazine, a subway map that the child can just look at with a parent, so that they feel that they're included in a way that really is fun for them, without necessarily just passing it off on TV and computers, I think is a wonderful way to go. But since TV and computers do play a big part in children's lives, it's not something you can leave out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed session 10, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.